Hi friends, when was the last time you had an argument, a disagreement, or a quarrel with, if you are a student, when was the last time you had a quarrel with your friends, with your fellow students? When was the disagreement, you had a disagreement with your peers or your boss or your subordinates? When was the last time you had an argument in relations with your spouse or anybody in the relations? Well, these are all the quite common things we experience in our lives, isn't it? But when was the last time you sacrificed your point of view for the sake of the other person? Not much, isn't it? Maybe you can't remember because we are always focused on winning for ourselves. We most of the time don't look at creating a win-win. But have you ever tried sacrificing? I'm not talking about sacrificing everything. Let's be practical here. If I hold my fist like this, I'm holding some pressure with me and I'm creating certain curiosity in you that what is that I'm holding here. But if I leave it, I'm relieving myself, I'm relieving certain pressure from my body, and I'm relieving your curiosity as well. So sometimes leaving it, let it go off, sometimes sacrifice is better than holding. Try this out. Next time when you had a disagreement, when you had an argument, when you have a quarrel with your friends, try this out. It works like miracle. Do you want to understand this in a more deeper way? Let's look at a short story of Shibi, the great king. Shibi was a great king. He was generous to everyone. One day, a hawk was chasing a dove to kill and eat it. And the frightened dove was flying, and then at some point it fell down at the foot of Shibi and asked for protection. Shibi understood the situation and promised to protect the dove. Well, after some time, the hawk arrived over there and requested Shibi to leave the dove to him because he was hunting him to have him as food. Now Shibi said, "No, I can't do that. I promised to protect the dove. You ask me anything else, I will give you." Now the hawk said, "No, if you don't let me eat the dove, I will die in hunger, and that sin will be upon you." Now Shibi said, "No, I don't want either of you to die. You please ask me something else since I made a promise to the dove." Now, well, the hawk thought for a while and said that, "Okay, let's make a deal. You cut your flesh to the weight of the dove and then give it to me. I will be satisfied with that flesh." Well, the king immediately called for a pair of scales. He cut off a part of his body flesh and placed it on one pan of the scales and put the dove in the other pan of the scales. But the dove's pan went down. The king cut some more flesh. Still the dove's pan went down. And he went on cutting his flesh further with of no purpose. At the end, he was ready to offer. He offered himself in the pan to the weight of dove. Then finally, at that point, the dove and hawk both disappeared, and Lord Agni both have appeared and said, "Oh my dear king, you are very generous. You are such a nice person. You have sacrificed, your willingness to sacrifice for the word you have given, for the sake of the dove, for the sake of protecting the dove. We really appreciate it. Your kindness has no match. We bless you to live longer. And from then on, Shibi lived longer and he became immortal. Today, in the modern contemporary world, when someone was sacrificing for the sake of others, we call him as a modern day Shibi, isn't it? Sacrifice is the means of liberation. Sacrifice is the supreme means of liberation. As we saw in this story, Shibi sacrificed himself and eventually he was liberated. He became immortal. He became a benchmark. So everything is supported by sacrifice.